Good afternoon, Mr. President. Thank you so much for taking time out of your demanding schedule.
Oh, my pleasure. The content of your request seemed like something I should carve out a few minutes for.
I should point out that I voted for you. Your message of hope and change, transparency and accountability, as well as putting government back into the hands of the American people.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, Shirley. Big fan of the show, by the way.
Sir, I can't imagine when you would actually find the time to watch my show, given the measure of what you've inherited.
I have a T-bone in Air Force One. Nice break from the traveling press corps. Not to rush you or be abrupt, but...
Sir, in the very near future, we will experience our first anniversary of 9/11 with you as Commander-in-Chief.
Yes, a very solemn day for our nation. A day of historical consciousness and a day of reflection as well.
Now, in researching your position of 9/11 and its subsequent aftermath, do I understand correctly that you fully support the Commission report, otherwise known as the official story?
Do I have any reason not to? Being that most of us are presumably in touch with similar evidence?
I really wish that were the case, sir. Are you aware, Mr. President, that 60% of the 9/11 commissioners have stated publicly that the government decided not to tell the truth about 9/11 and that the Pentagon was engaged in deliberate deception about its response to the attack?
I am aware of certain infighting during the course of their very thorough and tireless investigative process.
Mr. President, it's hard to label this type of friction infighting, or, quite frankly, make the irresponsible leap to thorough, when the evidence that I insist you examine regarding 6 of the 10 members are statements of fact.
No disrespect, Mr. Sheen, but I have to ask. What is it that you seem to be implying in the initial direction of this discussion?
I'm not implying anything, Mr. President. I'm here to present the facts and see what you plan to do with them.
Let me guess. The facts supporting these claims are in the folders you brought with you.
Good guess, Mr. President. Again, sir, these are not my opinions or assumptions. This is all a matter of public record. It's been presented in the mainstream media. It's been painstakingly fact-checked and verified. Now you'll notice, sir, on page 1 of the dossier, dated August 06 from the Washington Post, the statements of John Farmer, the senior counsel to the 9/11 Commission. His quote saying, "I was shocked how different the truth was from the way it was described." He goes on to further state the NORAD air defense tapes told a radically different story from what had been told to us and the public for 2 years.
Mistakes were clearly made, but we as a people and as a country need to move forward. It is in our best interest to focus our efforts and our resources on the future and our ability to protect the American people and its allies from this type of terrorism in the coming years.
Sir, how can we focus on the future when the Commission itself has gone on record saying they still do not know the truth?
Well, look, even if what you state may in some capacity begin to approach an open discussion or a balanced debate, I can't speak for or about the decisions any council members made during their very difficult period. Perhaps you should be interviewing them instead of me. Don't tell me I was easier to track down than they were.
Not exactly, sir. But let's be honest. You are the President of the United States, the leader of the free world. The buck stops with you. 9/11 has been used as a pretext for the systematic dismantling of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Sir, with all due respect, your administration is reading from the same playbook that the Bush administration foisted on America, with documented secrecy and deception.
Mr. Sheen, I'm having a difficult time listening to you draw distorted parallels between the Bush-Cheney regime and mine.
Sir, the parallels are not distorted just because you say they are. Let's stick to the facts. You promised to abolish the Patriot Act and then voted to reauthorize it. You pledged to end warrantless wiretapping against the American people and now energetically defend it. You decried the practice of rendition and now continue it. You promised over and over again on the campaign trail that you would end the practice of indefinite detention, and instead you have expanded it to permanent detention of detainees without benefit of trial. This far exceeds the outrages of the previous administration. And call me crazy, Mr. President, but is this not your record?
Mr. Sheen, my staff and I authorized this interview based on your request to discuss 9/11 and to deliver some additional information that you're convinced that I had not been privy to. Now, call me crazy, but it seems that you've blindly wandered off topic.
Sir, the examples I just illustrated are a direct result of 9/11.
And I'm telling you, we must move forward. We must endure through these dangerous and politically challenging years ahead.
Mr. President, we cannot move forward with a bottomless warren of unanswered questions surrounding that day and its aftermath.
I read the official report. Every page, every word. Perhaps you should do the same.
I have, sir. And so have thousands of the victims' family members. And guess what? They have the same questions I do, probably a lot more. Now, I didn't lose a loved one on that horrific day, Mr. President, and neither did you. But I, along with other Americans, lost something that we've held true and dear for years in this great country of ours. We lost our hope.
And I'd like to believe that I'm here to restore that hope. To restore the confidence in your leaders, in the system that the voting public chose through a peaceful transfer of power.
Does it bother you, Mr. President, that it only took 5 hours after the initial attack for Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld to authorize a full-scale offensive against Iraq?
I am not aware of any such purported claim.
I have the proof, sir, along with scores of documents and other facts that I'm asking you to take a look at. Here.
I see you came prepared, Charlie.
I would like to direct your attention to the stack of documents in the folder that I just handed you. Now, the first from the top is entitled Operation Northwoods. Now, this is a declassified Pentagon plan to stage attacks on U.S. soil as a pretext for war against Cuba.
And I'd like to direct to your attention that the principal draftsman of this improbable blueprint was quickly denied a second term as Joint Chiefs Chairman and sent packing to a European NATO garrison. Thank God his otherworldly ambitions never saw the light of day.
I wouldn't be so certain about that, Mr. President.
I could easily say the same to you, Charlie.
Now, the next document reads, Declassified Staged Provocations. Mr. President, I wish I was making this stuff up. I'm certain you're familiar with the USS Maine incident, with the sinking of the Lusitania, which brought us into World War I, and of course the most famous, the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
You have 5 minutes left.
Okay. First, on the FBI's most wanted list, Osama bin Laden is not charged with the crimes of 9/11. When I called the FBI to ask why this was the case, I was told that there was not enough evidence to connect him to the crime scene. I later learned that he had never even been indicted by the Department of Justice. 3 F-16s assigned to Andrews Air Force Base, less than 10 miles from Washington, D.C., are conducting a training exercise in North Carolina 207 miles away on the morning the first airplane slammed into the World Trade Center. Now, even at significantly less than their top speed of 1,500 miles an hour, they could have returned to secure the skies over Washington, D.C. before 9 a.m., more than 37 minutes before Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon. Yet they did not return until after 9:55 a.m. Andrews Air Force Base had no fighters armed and ready on the morning of 9/11. World Trade Center, building number 7. Watch the video of its collapse. Scores of mainstream news outlets reported that the FBI conducted an investigation of at least 5 of the 9/11 hijackers being trained at U.S. military flight schools. These investigations are now sealed and need to be declassified. In 2004, New York firefighters Mike Bellone and Nicholas DiMazzi went public with the story that they had found the black boxes at the World Trade Center, but that they were told to keep their mouths shut by FBI agents. Nicholas DiMazzi said that he escorted federal agents in October 2001 on an all-terrain vehicle to locate the devices. And this story was backed up by volunteer rescue worker Mike Bellone. Hundreds of eyewitnesses, including first responders, fire captains, news reporters, and police, all described multiple explosions in both towers before and during the collapse.
A blatant case of misjudgment fueled by an assumption. For some, an uninformed denial of coincidence.